Protests for Mahsa Amini have continued for 18 days in Iran, and residents of Orange are showing their support.
Retrofitting is making its way into restaurants and stores in Old Town Orange, and residents are not sure what to think of it.
Planned Parenthoods in Orange are expecting an influx in activity since the overturn of Roe v. Wade. We spoke to their Vice President of Communications on how they're handling it.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Alexandra Cohen-Yartz.
And I'm Kate Worsham. It's been nearly 1 week since Hurricane Ian made landfall in Florida, and the aftermath of the devastating storm is our top story today.
Cleanup and rescue efforts are continuing following the overwhelming devastation of Hurricane Ian. More than 100 people were killed in the storm and its aftermath. There are still more than 400,000 people in Florida without power. Rescue crews have been going door to door to check in on survivors. Repairing and replacing the roads and bridges that were destroyed by the hurricane is expected to take months, if not years.
In more hurricane news, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are heading to Florida tomorrow, after visiting Puerto Rico to view firsthand the damage from Hurricane Fiona. The latest blow to Puerto Rico. The island was still recovering from Hurricane Maria and a 6.4 magnitude earthquake. President Biden says his administration will provide the help and resources needed.
And Puerto Ricans are strong people, but even so, you have had to bear so much and more than need be, and you haven't gotten the help in a timely way.
He announced a $60 million investment to the coastal areas that will help Puerto Rico prepare for future hurricanes.
And in Ukraine, Ukrainian troops are liberating towns once held by Russia, but they are finding that these towns are completely empty. On Saturday, Ukrainian troops took back Liman, which was a key eastern hub for Russia. Even though this is a major setback for Russia, the entire town is destroyed. Ukraine residents in these recaptured lands are said to be questioning whether to stay or flee from their ruined homes. Today marks the 18th day of international protests following the death of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman who was detained for not properly wearing a hijab. She died in police custody in Iran. Orange County residents came together on Saturday at Irvine Great Park in solidarity with the women of Iran and to honor Mahsa's life. Woman, life, freedom. These three words are the rallying cry of the international movement that has started in the way of Mahsa Amini's death. Bruce, an Iranian native who did not want to give his last name, says he is frustrated with the Iranian regime. He says he has come to this protest to support Iranian women and their fight for freedom.
This is why we are here, to support Iranian people, 80 million Iranian people. They are like a prisoner. They are like a, what kind of, they put it in a gate, in a cave, and they surround them all, just killing them.
Amani was detained by the Iranian morality police and died in custody. The United Nations is looking into reports that she was beaten to death. A young Iranian woman attending the Irvine protest, who requested to remain anonymous, says she is angry and devastated about what is happening in her country.
Famous slogan that's been going on, everyone's been saying that because they say this is the war of the women. It's the women who's basically running this war, and for the first time in history, it's a woman, it's a girl, Mahsa Amini, who started this war.
Over the last several decades, there have been other calls for reform in the Iranian government and the strict Islamic law, to no avail. Seema, a woman who wishes to not be seen on camera, explains why this time it is different.
This time is the third generation that stayed behind and suffered and grow up. So they're not like their father or their parents to take the dictatorship, or new generation, they want to live with freedom or die. They have nothing to hope for in Iran.
More than 90 people have been killed and thousands have been arrested during the protests all across Iran. In response, the Iranian government has shut down the internet and blocked social media. Here at Chapman, the university's president, Daniele Strupa, has published a statement declaring the university's support for the women of Iran.
The U.S. is condemning North Korea's latest long-range missile launch. The missile launched today flew over Japan and into the Pacific Ocean, forcing the Japanese government to issue evacuation alerts. Previous weapons testing by North Korea have mostly targeted the waters off the coast of the Korean peninsula. Today's launch is the 5th round of testing in the last 10 days.
Later today begins the holiest day of the year for those of the Jewish faith. Chapman News reporter Josh Blinder has more.
Tonight at sundown, prayers of Kol Nidre will be heard in synagogues across Orange County, marking the start of the holiest of holidays for the Jewish population, Yom Kippur. Tomorrow, students at Chapman University will be attending the call to prayer at the organization of Chabad. Rabbi Eliezer of Chabad holds the services in the backyard of his house.
What you can't miss is the heart. And when you come to synagogue and you come to a service or anything that's Jewish and you don't know what's going on, just think about what's in your heart. Try to say the words, and if you can't, that's okay. So I encourage everybody to try to go to a service in any capacity, in any way, for any amount of time, and be there with your heart.
Yom Kippur occurs annually on the 10th of Tishrei in the Hebrew calendar, 9 days after the Hebrew New Year of Rosh Hashanah. The holiday of Yom Kippur is a day of atonement and repentance, with Jews fasting all day to receive compassion from God and be forgiven for their sins.
The number one thing to do is to fast. So that if that means that somebody's not going to attend synagogue or temple or do anything else besides just lay in their bed all day, that's the most important thing to do, is not to eat or drink.
Once the holiday concludes tomorrow night, Rabbi Eliezer is holding a break fast for students to indulge themselves after a long day of worship. I wish those observing the holiday a safe fast and Yom Tov. I'm Josh Blinder, reporting for Chapman News.
The popular Orange Circle here in the city of Orange is taking on a new look. While many of the new options in the circle are popular, Chapman News reporter Ryan Deeb says people also have mixed feelings about a newer, modern Old Town.
The city of Orange was founded in 1888, but it wasn't until recently that the city had joined the trend of retrofitting its historic buildings in Old Town. The area's history of being a center for antique shops is slowly fading, while more modern, trendy storefronts and restaurants are popping up.
With the old history of this town, it's easy to understand how modernization and retrofitting may come as a bit controversial, especially with big businesses and chains such as Chipotle opening up in recent weeks. I got the opportunity to talk to some Orange residents and see what they think.
Well, I think it's very beneficial for us college students, especially good old Chipotle.
I personally like where it's going. I know a number of people like the way it was.
I think change is good, but I think respectful change is better. I like tradition, and I think most people like tradition. And so if you're going to make changes, I feel like you have to be respectful to the past and what was there before.
I think it's a blessing and a curse, because within the restaurant industry, you actually will get better business the more businesses there are.
I definitely don't want like too many new restaurants popping up, but I mean a Chipotle type restaurant every now and then. I think it would be good for the community to promote, like, I don't know, I guess youth.
Seeing like some of our favorites from last year close down was really sad.
And then in the 70s, it was just really sleepy. Yeah, there were good things then. It's just a little more with it now, if I can say that.
Though many welcomed the change, a store owner who wished to stay anonymous expressed his frustration.
It's all about them, it's all about the tax dollars. And they can make a lot more money on a restaurant than they can on an antique store. They literally call us junk stores. You know, it's like, okay, thanks.
For Chapman News, I'm Ryan Deeb reporting from the Orange Circle.
One voice against retrofitting and modernizing the circle is mayoral candidate and current city councilwoman Ariana Barrios. Her campaign states that she will also advocate for the city to revisit the Old Town specific plan to ensure it protects our most important asset so that we don't continue to lose historic icons like Watson's Soda Fountain.
Since the overturn of Roe v. Wade, California is now one of only 33 states where abortion remains legal.
Clinics in California are now experiencing an influx of women seeking abortions and other medical services. Our Langley Tersani talked with a representative from the Orange and San Bernardino Counties affiliate of Planned Parenthood.
Hello, today we are Zooming from the Chapman News Control Room with Nicole Ramirez, the Senior Vice President of Communications and Donor Relations at Planned Parenthood of Orange and San Bernardino Counties. Hello, Nicole.
Thanks so much for having me.
So jumping right in, can you describe any changes you've seen at Planned Parenthood here in Orange County since the overturn of Roe v. Wade?
So what it did was it allowed states to now put bans or abortion bans into effect. So not letting people get the care that they need. So some people will be able to travel. Some people who have the means, the ability to travel to other states, like the state of California, that is a reproductive freedom state. But a lot of people who this impacts are low-income women, low-income individuals who aren't able to get time off of work. They aren't able to find childcare for the children that they currently have. It's really not that easy to just up and leave and travel for a service that really everyone should be able to get if they need it. We've been preparing. We created an abortion aid program where we increased the availability for abortion appointments. We've hired more providers. We've cross-trained more providers, all so that we could be prepared for when patients needed the care, they could come to us. And then on June 24th, when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, our numbers significantly increased. So we've had people not only travel from Texas, but a lot traveling from Arizona and really across the country to get basic healthcare needs.
Do you have any concerns about the number of women crossing over here to California to seek abortion services? Like, are you able to handle those numbers? And with the midterm elections coming up and we're going to see more fluctuations on those laws, is there any preparation that Planned Parenthood is doing for that future?
There are 17 states that have banned abortion. We're expecting 26 states to ban abortion. 26 states, that's over half the country. So as you can imagine, this creates a trickle-down effect. So when people aren't able to get the care that they need in their own state, they travel to another state. They can't get it there, they're willing to travel to another state. And again, this is only women who are able to get, who are able to travel and get that care. So while we have seen a large influx of people coming to Orange County, to San Bernardino County to get needed abortion care, I'm really heartbroken to think about all those women who aren't able to get the care that they need. And with the midterms coming up, absolutely, we are prepared to continue to ensure our rights are protected here in California.
Wow, great. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. This is, very important information for us to be hearing. But yes, thank you so much.
Ramirez says that many of those traveling to Orange and San Bernardino counties are coming from Texas and Arizona.
Those states now have laws that ban all abortions, except when the mother's life is in danger.
This past weekend, the Pacific Air Show returned to Huntington Beach. The three-day show attracted an audience estimated at 3 million people. They enjoyed the skills of several aviation display teams, including the Air Force's famous Thunderbirds. It was the Pacific Air Show's first complete event since 2019, after COVID and last year's oil spills caused cancellations. People gather along the pier, beach, and even sidewalks to get the best view possible. Boat races, food, and more accompanied the flight shows to make an exciting event for everyone. The Pacific Air Show first began in 2016 and has been a staple of Huntington Beach ever since.
I'm live in Huntington Beach covering the oil spill. I'll be giving you a closer look at how it's affecting the community.
I'm Avery Feldman. Coming up next, I'll have your weekly weather forecast.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.
1 year ago, an oil spill devastated Orange County and its beaches.
Now, Emma Charles is live from Huntington Beach with a look at the situation today.
Hi, Kate and Alex. I'm here in Huntington Beach today, where last year a pipeline leak caused the tragic oil spill. The wetlands have still not been cleaned up due to lack of resources, but not lack of trying. Environmental groups have introduced a bill to help more people come recover the ecosystem. One year ago, Huntington Beach experienced a devastating oil spill, and today, the wetlands have still not recovered. The oil spill covered over 8,000 acres of the ocean's surface. It affected Huntington Beach's wildlife and may take the ecosystems years to come back. When the pipeline leaked last year, many environmental groups wanted to help with coastal restoration, but were not allowed.
That is why we ran a Senate bill this year, 1036, because we tried to help in every which way. And we were told that because we didn't have certain training, that we couldn't help. So that was really frustrating.
The proposed Bill 1036 had provisions to train young people for the cleanup work, funding for coastal restoration, and education on coastal conservation. Despite support from senators and environmental groups, Governor Newsom vetoed the bill almost exactly 1 year from the day of the oil spill. His message stated it was a budget issue. With our state facing lower than expected revenues over the first few months of this fiscal year, it is important to remain disciplined when it comes to spending, particularly spending that is ongoing.
We thought it was well thought, it was a great concept, and we had bipartisan support. So there's at no time did anybody vote against it.
Despite the governor's veto, Senator Josh Newman from Fullerton plans to reintroduce the bill in January, hoping funds will be available. The Huntington Beach wetlands are still damaged from the oil spill. After the governor's veto last Thursday, environmental groups are looking to rebudget the bill so it passes in January. This is Emma Charles for Chapman News.
From one extreme to the next, our coasts are definitely feeling the effects of the weather.
Avery Feldman has the latest updates on our local forecast. Avery?
Thanks, ladies. Today in Orange, it's 83 degrees and partly cloudy. The temperature has been much cooler than last week's 95, and it might finally be starting to feel like fall again. And moving on to our national weather forecast. Starting off on the west coast, we have Seattle and San Francisco sitting at 65 degrees. A little too chilly if you ask me. Smoke is expected in Seattle due to the Bolt Creek wildfire in the east. Denver also is at 65 with a bit of rain. Las Vegas is at 89, hot, of course, no surprise. So is Austin, Texas, sitting at 85. Looking on the other side of the map, we have Washington, D.C. and New York at around 50 degrees, but pouring rain. If you are traveling there in the next couple of days, make sure to pack an umbrella or a raincoat. Up in the Great Lakes regions, we have Minneapolis and Chicago at roughly 70 degrees, as well as Atlanta. Heating up is Miami at 81 degrees. And moving on to our Orange County local forecast. We are the hottest in the region at 83 degrees. Our other inland cities of Irvine and Mission Viejo are sitting at a roughly 80. Newport Beach, Laguna, and San Clemente are low 70s. Nice weather for Emma and Daniel at the beach right now. And moving on to our Orange 5-day weather forecast. We are partly cloudy at the beginning of this week, but clearing up towards the end. We're also warming up towards the end of this week, so I will definitely be hitting the beach.
That's all I have for today. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Several community events were held for Citywide Serve Day on Saturday. The annual event brings together businesses, schools, and other organizations for a variety of volunteer projects. Orange Homegrown, or OHG, hosted a farming event at a municipal orange grove, which tucked away on 22 Freeway and Glasell Street. With the help of some volunteer residents, OHG staff spent Saturday morning shoveling waterways, pulling weeds, and cleaning the grove around the preparation for the harvest and ripening oranges.
It was my first day out in the grove, and I got to meet a lot of cool people, spend some quality time with some quality people, and hopefully get to go back out again, and I'm going to tell my friends and try to get everybody to come out.
Oranges are picked a day. They are donated to local food charities and restaurants in the circle.
A recent national study found math and reading test scores for 9-year-olds have dropped drastically. It's believed that this is due to school being held online during the pandemic. The decline spanned across all ethnicities and income levels. Chapman News reporter Lexi Propak visited California Elementary School here in Orange to talk to educators about what they're doing to bring elementary-age students back up to speed in the classroom.
After a national survey discovered a significant test score decline among 11-year-old students, we visited California Elementary School, right here in Orange, to ask how virtual learning during the pandemic affected their students.
If you're in a school working with kids every day, you don't need to look at test scores. It's obvious. Like, we have a larger group of third graders that can't read than we ever did before.
One of the tools California Elementary School uses to combat the gaps in their students' academic progress is their iReady program.
We have a program called iReady at our school, and the kids do it on their iPad, and they start the program going through a diagnostic. And that tells us kind of where the gap is, and then the program runs them through those skills. But in addition, on the teacher end, we can see what very specific they're having a hard time with. We can pull them to the side, and we can do a small group with them on that.
Academics were not the only aspect of learning students lost during their time at home.
We've definitely noticed an academic impact, but also a social emotional impact. We do have more referrals for anxiety, for stress, for things like that coming out than we did previous to COVID. So just working with kids to recognize their emotions and giving them strategies to deal with those emotions.
I know, like in my class, we do a lot of extra social emotional learning that we didn't normally do in the past. Today's Wednesday, we do Wellness Wednesdays. So every Wednesday we take 20 minutes out of our day to do something that's going to help them either socially or emotionally.
With all of these changes, educators are working hard to get their students back on track and up to the academic and social standards of their grade levels.
We're just working to do everything we can for the whole child, not just that academic piece, but to make better humans.
That was Lexi Propak reporting for Chapman News. It seems with educators across the country working hard to get back to the math and reading levels seen before the pandemic, students are in good hands.
I'm Isabella Capri. Coming up on the Best Campus Sports Show, MLB playoffs, Chapman homecoming, and a close look at the recent tennis legends retiring. Stay tuned.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through.
Elmo loves you. I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
If you live in the city of Orange, you've probably seen the signs. Take a look. They say Orange Strong. They are a project organized by a community group called Orange Homegrown, or OHG. Proceeds from the sale of the yard signs totaled $30,000 in the last year. OHG used the money to buy produce from small family farms and donated thousands of pounds of food to distribute around the community. OHG also recognizes an education farm and the local farmers market every Saturday, both of which are located on Chapman University's campus. OHG co-founder Megan Penn says that the goal is to unite people and have them get to know their neighbors.
We want to get people, neighbors and friends and anyone that's interested to come out and meet new people, interact. From a mental health standpoint, I think a lot of what we do is really important, especially now, getting people to reconnect. We've seen a lot of benefits from the stuff that we do.
This past weekend, the organization had a booth at Citywide Serve Day and the Orange Harvesting Fest. The yard signs are available for purchase on orangehomegrown.com. What also makes Orange strong is our sports teams, from the Angels to our very own Chapman Panthers.
Isabella Capri has your latest sports update.
Welcome to the Best Campus Sports Show. I'm Isabella Capri, back on the sports desk, sharing all the latest in the sports world. Fall has just begun, and we know what that means. The Major League Baseball playoffs are about to be in full swing. Get it? Swing. And I could not be more excited. With the playoffs beginning this upcoming Friday, let's take a look at the teams in the running. The Los Angeles Dodgers were the first team to clinch a spot in the playoffs by winning the National League West Division. This is the Dodgers' 10th straight postseason. The team last won the World Series back in 2020. As a San Francisco Giants fan, I can't say the Dodgers are the first team I am rooting for in the postseason, but they are considered a top contender for a possible World Series return. As for other teams in pursuit of a World Series championship, here's the playoff bracket outlining where each team currently stands. Wildcard games begin Friday. Some of the teams playing a wildcard match include the Philadelphia Phillies against the St. Louis Cardinals and the Seattle Mariners against the Toronto Blue Jays. This postseason is even more exciting for Seattle, as this is the first time since 2001 the Mariners have made it to the playoffs. There's quite nothing like October baseball. This postseason is sure to be one for the books. In just the past month, two of the biggest tennis athletes in history have retired from the sport. Langley Terskeri has more on Chapman student athletes' reactions to the retirement announcements from their tennis inspirations, Serena Williams and Roger Federer.
For Serena Williams here. The greatest of all time.
Serena Williams played her last professional match at the 2022 U.S. Open in New York City last month, finishing her incredible career with a total of 23 Grand Slam tournament wins. Chapman women's tennis player Saleh Sabrina started playing tennis when she was just 4 years old and has never lived or played in a time when Serena Williams wasn't dominating the sport. Sabrina says she was emotional watching Serena Williams' final match.
I cried. It was embarrassing. But, you know, she's brought so much to the sport and has had such an amazing career, a very long career.
Just weeks after Williams' announcement, Roger Federer, struggling with injury after injury in recent years, announced that he too would be retiring after the Laver Cup in London. Federer was the first male to win 14 Grand Slam tournaments, with 20 Grand Slam tournament wins over the span of his career. Chapman men's tennis player and Chapman News reporter Josh Blinder says Federer definitely left his mark.
Oh, I think that tennis has just completely transformed because of Federer. When you look at the sport as a whole, he sort of revolutionized the way you look at serving and athletic ability.
Both Federer and Williams say they will still be involved in the sport. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Langley Tersani.
Serena and Roger's legacy will continue to inspire tennis players and athletes from all across the world for years to come. And to end with some Chapman sports updates, homecoming was this weekend. Chapman students and their families gathered at Wilson Field Saturday night to watch the Panthers take on Pomona Pitzer. Unfortunately, the game did result in a 17-31 loss for the Panthers. Despite the home loss, families still enjoyed the weekend festivities and were able to take the opportunity to show off their Panther pride. That is going to wrap it up for me this week. This has been the Best Campus Sports Show. I'm Isabella Capri. Back to you.
The creative forces behind the Netflix hit series Stranger Things, the Duffer Brothers, returned to their alma mater, Dodge College, this past weekend. Tickets to their masterclass sold out in minutes, prompting students to line up outside Dodge as early as 10 a.m. on Saturday in hopes of getting standby tickets.
I came this morning at like 10:30 and just got in line. There were only a few people ahead of me, so I'm number 13 in the standby line, which just means that if 13 people don't show up, then I get to go in. I tried to get a ticket online, but it's sold out within like 30 seconds.
The Duffer Brothers advise students to stand by the writing choices they believe in and not to let others change your creative visions.
Hey everyone, I'm Gavin Nguyen. Good News with Gavin is coming up after the break. I'll tell you about the new M&M and Fat Bear Week. Stay tuned.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help.
Sweet or salty? Which one's your favorite, Kate?
I prefer sweet.
Well, Gavin has all the sweet tea about M&Ms and some salty animal news for me.
With more good news, we have Gavin in the studio.
Thanks, Kate. Let's take a look at some more good news, some strange news, and everything in between. Now, how sweet is this? M&M says a brand new purple M&M is being added to its roster of mascots, the first new character in 10 years. The catch, you won't be buying purple M&Ms. They're not going to be sold. This is only in addition to M&M's spokes candies, as the company refers to them. Historically, purple M&Ms have only been on store shelves for promotions, and it seems like it'll stay that way for now. Even so, the company says the new cast members meant to promote inclusivity. But my question still remains, what's it going to take for me to get my hands on some purple M&Ms? From talking chocolate to shenanigans in Massachusetts, a seal that ran from the cops turns himself in. AP News reports that a gray seal who waddled into Shoe Pond in the city of Beverly escaped authorities' attempts to catch him. They tried boats and giant nets, but it was all in vain. After the authorities gave up, he quickly became an attraction for residents. They even named him Schubert after the pond he was staying in. But early the next day, Schubert showed up at the police station a short waddle away to, apparently, turn himself in. Guess you can't run from the law forever. And a couple thousand miles north from here, a competition celebrating fat bears. Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska sponsors an annual bracket-style competition where hundreds of thousands of people cast their vote to crown the thickest bear each year. The goal? Showcase the ecosystem that allows these bears to bulk up for the winter. Fat bears means they're eating healthy salmon, and that all means a healthy ecosystem. Media Park Ranger Chris Kleesrath says people really get into the fun of the fat bear competition.
They're very excited about it. They make posters for their favorite candidates. They post them on the bear campsites. They have their own little groups. So they're very into this, and it makes us very happy that people are that interested in our park.
Chris loves the support the public gives them. They got 800,000 votes last year, and she hopes the competition can gather 1 million this year. You can definitely count me in, as I'll be voting for my favorite bear, 747, the whole way. I mean, just look at him. So round. On that note, that's all the weird, odd, and good news I have for you today. Back to you, Kate.
Thanks, Gavin. That's all for us this week. Be sure to check out our YouTube page at chapmannews.tv and make sure to follow us at Chapman News. I'm Kate Worsham.
And I'm Alexandra Konyarts. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again next Tuesday with more Chapman News.